Hey there, welcome to Mama and a Minivan, which is where I take a few moments from the many hours I spend Uber momming my daughter to her activities to share around brain-body biome support. And this week I'm going to finally share what I did pre, during, and after this recent hike that my husband and I enjoyed in California. I posted about that and some people asked for more details. But man, it's been tricky getting back on track. I got back into town a week ago, and I always expect and anticipate reentry to be difficult or just a bit intense. And I lower my expectations of myself, but this time it was really tough. Just a lot of extra stuff coming up, work, family-wise, and I didn't even finish unpacking my suitcase until last night, so 1 week later, which I know means that it was definitely a tricky week. But anyway, wanted to share, I know I had some questions. What did I do to support my brain and body to enjoy this hike fully? Because it really did challenge us more than we've been challenged. I haven't hiked like that in a long time, sadly, because we don't have places that have miles of hikes with a lot of incline and beautiful scenery around where I live in Michigan. So we were in Malibu Creek State Park, gorgeous. I can't wait to go back and do other hikes that we didn't get to this time. And there was a lot of incline. We hiked over 6 miles and it definitely was challenging. I mean, there were parts where I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. And I was like, oh wait, you have to finish this. It's not like when you're on the elliptical and you're like, okay, I'm going to slow down for 30 seconds before I kick it back up or whatever. It was like, you got to keep going. I mean, you can stop and take in the scenery, but you got to get to the other end. So before we left the hotel, I did PACE, which is a readiness tool. It brings you to the present moment, really setting the intention that I would be in the present moment because I knew there would be some beautiful landscape. I knew that I wanted to take some photos as memories, and I had promised our daughter that I would take photos, especially of the hike, because she's an outdoorsy girl. And so did the PACE when we got there, and I didn't really have any fear. I did ask the ranger if there were any bears or mountain lions, to which he responded no when we were checking in and paying the park fee. And later I learned that there definitely are mountain lions there, but he probably just meant they weren't going to be out during the time we were there. I knew there were snakes. I'm not really that afraid of snakes, but if I had been, I would have done a little fear paralysis tapping before we got on our way. I did leg cross flexion extension reflex movements because that's really important for unstable surfaces where you have the potential to step on something and have it kind of cause your body to respond and try not to trip. So I definitely did that beforehand. I also did the foot tendon guard reflex, which is great to really get that whole connection of the foot to the whole body. I did the Moro reflex beforehand, all about breathing and connecting to your best, most supportive diaphragmatic breath instead of being up here, but dropping it back down to where it needs to be in that respiratory diaphragm. And then we got on our way. I did a lot of visual exercises in real time, meaning I used the trees and the boulders as the exercises to practice convergence and divergence, because that's really important for the nervous system and for being able to orient your body in space. And a lot of times I've taught in my videos and in person, I've taught using 3-dimensional objects, but it's so much better when I can scan the landscape and see the boulders and the creek and the trees and so forth, and use those as my visual scanning exercises. So important for the nervous system. And at some point when we were going up the incline, I was feeling pretty exhausted and I wanted some energy. So I did a little bit of AT&R, which was also great because it brings you into the present moment. It's great for reaction and balance time. So I did some of that. We got to our location and my husband wanted to hike up to the site where they filmed the show MASH because he used to watch a ton of reruns of those. And so we went there, and when he was poking around, I definitely did more cross crawl from the PACE sequence. I definitely did more of the Moro cross crawl, which was awesome. And I did some balance buttons because to get back there, we had a lot of unstable surfaces. We had a lot of things to navigate around. And so did the balance buttons. Those felt really good. Also some energy on because I was getting tired. It was kicking my butt. Like I said, I haven't hiked like this in a long time. So did some energy on. That was awesome. We went back down. It's definitely a lot easier coming down that intense incline than going up. I was feeling pretty dehydrated. We had water, but I don't think it was enough, and it got hot a lot quicker than we thought. We had gone early, but it got hot. So right after we went to eat, I ate tons of greens, which felt very nourishing, hydrated with greens and fruits, and had some protein, which was so nourishing. Went back to the hotel, took off my hiking boots. I'm still loving my ultra hiking boots. That wide toe box is amazing. And took those off and immediately did the foot grasp reflex work on myself, working on my foot, and also the tendon guard reflex again, and did some Babinski. Those are all about feet, and my feet had so much sensory information coming in on that hike because of the amazing terrain that we got to hike, the challenging terrain that we got to hike. So did those, and then of course I got out my body rolling balls and body rolled the legs, front, side, back. So did hamstring cross fibering, lateral leg, did quads, hip flexors, into the trunk body, the abdominals, and further up into the hip flexors there. Did the respiratory diaphragm all around. And of course ended with some spinal body rolling. It felt amazing. I was so thrilled. I've got some joints that are talking to me lately, and they didn't even talk to me at all on this trip. It was amazing. And I'm sure it's the prep work I did. I'm sure it's the recovery work. You know, sometimes you feel great during, but if you don't do recovery with some of these brain-body tools, specifically the reflexes I mentioned, and if you don't do some of the myofascial work, the body rolling, and help that tissue recover, you can feel some discomfort afterwards. I know I threw a lot in this video. I know some of you have been asking for this, so feel free to drop a comment. Which of these do you want to see? I've shared a lot of these tools in my Work In Wednesdays, but there's some that maybe you need to see again or you're not clear on and you want more of. So let me know, because I will put those in a future Work In Wednesday. In the meantime, keep moving, keep breathing and hydrating, and never ever underestimate a mama in a minivan.